This place gives me the creeps.
Hey guys. Hello, Ghostly. It's time for another special missions request. Shout out to Ninja level patron Shane O for this spooktacular suggestion. With another Halloween upon us, he thought it would be a fun idea to look at the top 5 spookiest figures or playsets. So how about both? These are my top 5 spookiest vintage figures and top 5 spookiest vintage playsets from the 80s. Let's start off the list with the top 5 spookiest figures. Kicking off the list is a pair of skull faces from a line I just cracked the history books on. Masters of the Universe. I talked in that episode about how Masters of the Universe was the line that really kicked off the scary, spooky, creepy motif that inspired several other toy lines of the 80s. And it doesn't get much spookier than old Skullface himself, Skeletor. Pale blue skin coupled with a human skull for a face gave him one of the ghastliest looks that had ever been seen in toys up to that point. And to accentuate his lack of face, bright green paint was used to make it look like it was almost glowing. And speaking of glowing, I have to mention another Masters of the Universe figure when talking about the spookiest vintage toys. It's Skeletor's evil ghost, Scareglow. While I don't have a vintage Scareglow in corporeal form, due to him being quite a collector's item, I do have the Classics version, which is a faithful recreation with added articulation. Definitely one of the spookiest glow-in-the-dark figures ever produced. Second on the list of spookiest figures are the Darkling Lords from Visionaries.
Mist-filled pits, dark, dank, and clear, touch all before me with frost-fingered fear!
While their arch-rivals, the Spectral Knights, featured ferocious and noble animals on their chest and staff totems, the Darkling Lords featured the creepiest, crawliest, spookiest holograms that leapt right off the sticker. Lizards, beetles, phylots, spiders, all in 3D.
By what creeps, what crawls, by what does not, let all that grows recede and rot!
Third on the list is another obscure 80s toy line that took advantage of the 3D gimmick.
Supernaturals!
Tonka's Supernaturals. Like Visionaries, they took the spooky imagery that had been typically conveyed through stickers or paint applications and brought it to the third dimension with these magically unsettling holograms.
Is it a ghost? Is it a man? It's a hologram.
While I never collected these toys as a kid due to the toys not looking all that interesting compared to the other toys next to them on the pegs and on the shelves, the holograms always captivated me. And this is one collection that's sure to look spectacularly spooktacular on a shelf or on a wall. And it won't break the bank either, like other more well-known lines. Number 4 may have been subtitled The Evil That Lies Within, but the spookiness was certainly on the surface. Inhumanoids, particularly the Redwoods. These guys were supposed to be the good guys, but they looked more like a haunted forest when you got a bunch of them together, thanks to their claw limbs, ability to grow, and their glow-in-the-light eyes. But as spooky as these wooded warriors were, their arch nemesis made them look like friendly Ents. It's the master of Scaleweb, Decompose. From the ghastly skull face with a single streak of hair remaining, to the exposed ribcage which could digest victims alive,
Your solitary suffering shall be short.
To the pained screams of Chris Latta on the cartoon, to his ability to turn victims into giant horrific zombies. Decompose was the stuff of nightmares for kids in the 80s, and one of the spookiest characters ever put to plastic. And the number 5 spookiest figures of the 80s were Sectars.
An experiment fails.
creating a strange new race, the Sectars.
Being based on insects, many of them were creepy, but Drax and his spider flyer were downright terrifying. How many kids remember pleading with mom at the toy store? Just remember, if your mom actually gave in and bought you this, she ruled. Give her a call if she's still around today and let her know how much she rocks. Having had Dargon and his dragon flyer, and a firm believer of yin and yang even at that young an age, I simply had to have Drax and his spider flyer. Yes, it was terrifying, a giant flying spider with moving wings and moving furry spider limbs thanks to the brilliant hand puppet feature. But, like most things you're afraid of, you'll never conquer that fear unless you face it head on. Or, in this case, put it on your hand and fly it around the room and terrify others with it.
The kisses are hers and hers and his. Holy Oak, Massachusetts! We're under attack by flying giant tarantulas! Oh, come on, Scofield! Don't fail me now! Semper Fi!
And now for the other half of this top 10 list, the top 5 spookiest 80s playsets. Kicking off the list is Mumm-ra's Tomb Fortress from Thundercats.
What evil lurks in Mumm-ra's tomb?
Most of the toys in Thundercats were colorful and fun, but the ancient spirits of evil dwelled in this spooky sarcophagus. It featured gigantic animal pillars and a colossal skull where Mumm-ra slumbered, with ominous glow-in-the-dark eyes. And for a play feature, you could place the decrepit, withered mummy Mumm-ra inside the sarcophagus, and
Transform this decayed form to mumm-ra, living!
Number 2 on the spookiest playsets list is the gargantuan Hive playset from Sectars. Like the spider flyer, it featured a creepy, furry spider hand puppet that could jump out of a cave and snatch victims to snack on.
You control the monster Nor.
And a finger puppet too for added terror. Sectars was one toy line that put the spookiness in the palm of your hand. Literally. And rounding out the list are 3 Masters of the Universe playsets, making it the undisputed spookiest toy line of the 80s for me. The number 3 spookiest playset was the Fright Zone.
The Fright Zone!
The horrifying headquarters of the Horde, featuring a creepy murder of crows. Or is that a conspiracy of ravens? A creepy holding cell for your heroes? And like the Hive, a hand puppet that could snatch treats through the cave.
The Fright Zone! The Fright Zone! The Fright Zone!
Number 4 is Snake Mountain, the slithery sanctuary of Skeletor. Shackles for prisoners, a creepy snake head that would give intruders an unwelcome glare.
Your serpent's ready to strike?
Yes!
And a microphone that added a spooky echo.
Anytime!
Nerdmas
Snake Mountain was the perfect answer to number 5 on the list.
It's Castle Grayskull. And it's mine.
Castle Grayskull. You know a toy line is spooky when the home of the hero is a giant skull. Weathered paint apps made it look decades older than it was, and a jawbridge made it look like visitors were being consumed rather than popping by for tea. And the spookiness continued inside with creepy decals, which would have been much creepier if they were holograms. These playsets showed kids in the 80s that you could have tons of fun even in the spookiest of places. And that's my top 10 spookiest figures and playsets of the 80s. Got your own list? Share it with the tribe in the comments below. Want to help me continue dusting off the classics and featuring them in videos on my channel? Support my work on Patreon. Share this spooky spectacle with your ghost and ghoul friends. And to join the tribe, hit subscribe. Have a happy and safe Halloween, everybody. Nerdmas Day!